Hello, welcome to Loremaster's Library. We're continuing on from last week in the exploration of fiendish creatures. Specifically, while last week we dealt with the general origins of types of fiends, this week we'll be exploring the real-world myths many demon lords are based off of. Specifically, demon lords. I'm already worried today is going to be long, so only dealing with one kind today. This is going to cover both classic dungeons and Pathfinder. I already have lists of demon lords in both pulled up to see what names I recognize while going through this. So the only real limit is how many I can actually fit in one video. So with that worry in mind, let's not delay any further. First, going through the Oberynth lords, we have two with real-life equivalents. So then, the question is, do we start with Dagon or Pazuzu? Let's go with Dagon. Dagon started history as a Middle Eastern deity first worshipped in the area of Syria. Being a father of gods, king of kings kind of being, he was of course synchronized with the Mesopotamian Enlil, and was also connected with various weather deities in the region as well. Not that we have many first-hand accounts from his people, so we cannot go into the details of the area of his native myth. The best we have is in the Bible, where Dagon is listed as the head god of the Philistines, and is said that the head of King Saul was displayed in one of Dagon's temples after his death. Dagon would eventually be made one of the demons in Paradise Lost, and also be used in Lovecraft's works as the father of the deep ones. Traits from both works you can find in the Demon Lord in both the systems he's in. Now on to Pazuzu. While many might recognize his name from The Exorcist, he was made a demon much earlier, way back in his home in Akkadian-controlled territories. He was the personification of the West Wind, and was a force of destruction. But a force of destruction which usually kept most other demons away, and so he was respected and used in ritual white magic. Some also connect him to other hideous protector deities, like the Egyptian Bes, due to this role. But what he is known most for is his rivalry with another Mesopotamian demon, Lamashtu. Lamashtu. Speaking of Lamashtu, as she is a big name in Pathfinder setting, let's look at her before finishing the D&D list. Lamashtu, as I said, is also from Mesopotamian mythology. However, unlike with most other demons in those traditions, she was not ordered to do evil by a supreme deity, but was evil of her own free will. She appeared in a chimeric form with lion's head, bird feet, and donkey's teeth and ears. She was a being who worked against childbirth, doing all she could to steal child from its mother. Lesser-known crimes include bringing nightmares, bringing disease, and infesting rivers and lakes. She had 7 names, each which she gave to a witch in order to empower them. An interesting thought that maybe could be added to some tabletop adventures out there. Never know. So now moving to the demon princes of D&D. Oh hey look, it's Orcus. Orcus is connected to the god from Roman mythology, which in turn is connected in turn to Orcus, the daemon of oaths from and punisher of those who break oaths from Greek mythology. However, he didn't have as much prominence in Greece as he did in Rome, where he was equated with Hades and Dispater. He was one of the most prominent deities of Rome, and even when the empire failed, his worship was still said to be continued on in traditions of wild men, though if any wild men actually existed, or if they were just random characters in myths, we'll never know. During medieval times, his name became the origins of the word ogre, and he was an inspiration for various demons, and from the beast Grendel from the Beowulf story. Then we have Baphomet. The demon's existence was first attributed to Knights Templar. During their tortures after being accused of heresy, they readily admitted to worshipping a goat-headed demon known as Baphomet. However, it is well known that these are false confessions, and there was never any actual demon worship going on. The name Baphomet can be traced back to the name Muhammad, this being a time period where Christians did not actually realize that Islam was a separate religion and thought it was demon worship. Boy, it sure would suck to live in those times, am I right? Modern religious debate aside, the fact that Baphomet is actually a false deity from a false confession happens to be a quick way to tell real demonologists from, well, straight poses. Another reason why I'm not as big a fan of real-life occultism as I am in fictional occultism. Next is Kochetsky, named from Koschy, the Deathless from Russian mythology. Yes, I butchered both of those names. I'm sorry for part of my Russian-speaking fan base, if I have any. There are various different tales about him, but the most common element is that he made himself immortal by hiding his soul separate from his body, which kept him from being killed. And, literally wise, made him the first recorded lich. He rides a horse with either 3 or 7 legs, depending on the source, and can cast powerful sleep spells. His most common traits, however, is love of gold and kidnapping women, because why not? Then we have one final big one before moving into Pathfinder's demon lords, the Demogorgon. Everyone knows the creature from Stranger Things. The name Demogorgon was first appeared in the medieval book Genealogia Deorum Gentilium, which claims that Demogorgon was the opposite of all gods. However, most believe this is actually a translation error, and the correct word should have been demigods, or the name of a false god who leads people away from a real one. Whether this was an error or not, the Demogorgon was first introduced in a list of demons in both Paradise Lost and Dr. Faustus, and then afterwards was mentioned in The Fairy Queen, Ariosto's I Chike Conti, Voltaire's Plato's Dream, and of course Moby Dick. Heck, Mozart wrote an opera with them as a protagonist, and Percy Shelley's Prometheus Unbound includes the story of the creature dethroning Zeus in an allusion to the French Revolution. Creature has been popular long before tabletop, and Netflix got a hold of it. Of course, we start our Pathfinder's Demon Lords with one who I believe is in both systems, Abersax. I probably pronounced that wrong, but likely originally Abersax. This is a word of unknown origin found in Gnostic texts and Greek magical writings. There are many theories of the origin of the word, from being a powerful Gnostic archon to connected to the now today considered goofy Abracadabra. As an archon, he was seen as ruler of 365 heavens, because his name is a word puzzle. You know how it goes. And Gnostic writers had him as an aeon, dwelling with Sophia, separate from this world. Of course, worshipping of this being did not mesh well with Christianity, and he would be listed in the Infernal Dictionary as an demon lord leading people astray. Next is Shax, the weird stork guy. His origin is from the Ars Goetia, where he is one of 72 demons summoned by King Solomon to finish the Great Temple. He takes the form of a strange stork guy, so that checks out, but he was listed with the power to take away someone's sight, hearing, and understanding, and he can find hidden things. With, of course, the caution that he is an excellent liar, and anyone who summons him should not trust him. Outside of that, not much. Ars Goetia demons have surprisingly little of them considering how popular they are. So let's quickly just put all the Ars Goetia in one place, shall we? So next I see going down alphabetically would be Flawless. His appearance as opposed to Shaxx is different from the traditional. Here, originally he appeared as either a leopard with large claws or a man with fiery eyes. He knows all things past, present, and future, but is known to lie and cheat those who try to get answers from him. That said, he knows many deities of the divine. Many secrets of the divine, and is the demon who you can count on when you want to take revenge on other demons. Now, finishing off this ransack trio, we have Hagentia. Hagentia appears as a bull with the wings of a griffin who knows every subject, can transform metals into gold, and can change water into wine. Or more importantly, wine into water. Now, them out of the way, next we have another two should go together. Starting with Ereshkigal. She was the queen of the underworld in Sumerian mythology. Well, one of many. Babylon would list her as the most senior of them, but there was a lot. It was a large mythology, so of course you're going to have a few names pop up. But she was usually most senior along with her husband Nergal. She's also the older sister of the goddess Ishtar, though that fact was rarely actually brought up in mythology. Her two most famous stories, of course, are embarrassing her sister for barging into her house, and getting revenge on her husband who ran away and left her alone. She is definitely the overlord of the underworld. Which of course leads to Nergal, god of inflicted death, which made him god of war, death, and disease. Also thought to be connected to a solar deity. He either inherited the role of king of the underworld or married into it when he married Ereshkigal. Stories, of course, differ because that's what happens when you have mythology for 1,000 years. He wielded a mace with 3 lions' faces, as well as daggers and bows. He was said to accompany armies into battle, but his hideousness was a perfect deterrent to stop people from wanting to start a war of Sumeria. Only 2 stories exist of him, or at least 2 stories that we still have recorded. The former mentioning the incident of including Ereshkigal, and the second a story of him waging war because he is bored and he needs people to, and he fears that people are losing respect for him because of how long it's been since the last war. Typical war gods. Now the next 4 are also demon lords. Mentioned in Book 1 of Lords of Chaos. Book 1, Lords of Chaos. The Book of 1E, Lords of Chaos, and being specifically said to have no presence on Golarion. The first is especially interesting because Behemoth is usually not a demonic force. Referred to as the king of the beasts of the land, Behemoth comes from a story of Jewish writing telling about how it and its seed-dwelling pair, the Leviathan, would eventually die and their flesh would feed the world. These creatures are opposites, with the Behemoth usually being the calm and peaceful one, and the Leviathan being the raging storm, who is the one of the who is also usually listed as one of the 7 demon lords of the deadly sins. That said, there are places where Behemoth is included as one on the list, giving Belphegor a break from being the representative sloth. And the other three of the four that were mentioned were more Ars Goetia, so let's get into it. First, Epos, who appears as an angel with the head of a lion, tail of a hare, and feet of a goose. Or a lion with vulture wings, which I think is a much better look. He knows all things past, present, and future, and has the power to make men witty. The second is Vepa, appearing as a mermaid. His armies he can summon include armored ships, due to his power over the seas. He can also cause storms and putrefy wounds. Finally, Morbus appears as a lion that can change into the shape of a man. He can find hidden or secret things, cause and cure diseases, and grants mechanical knowledge. Now, while I was going through this, I did take a glance at the list of D&D minor demon lords, which, if I'm to be honest, I'm going to be taking a rain check on. I've just looked at the A's so far and found almost every name to have real world inspiration. So going through all this list of minor demon lords would probably take an entire hour. And if there is going to be a stopping point before committing to that, this would probably be the place to do it. How about this? If I see enough interest on this video, I will go down the list of minor demon lords in D&D in the future. However, I think I'm going to tap out for now. So, I believe I covered all the big ones, unless the major list from D&D is incomplete or wrong. I try to cover multiple systems, but I have less knowledge of Dungeons & Dragons. Forgive me if your favorite demon lord was missed. Either way, that ends this month-long chain of Loremaster's library. We have one more video coming down the pipeline, but outside of that, that's going to be all for today. Take care, everyone.